bilingual. It's El Cinco de Mayo. And we're here.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo, that's right. And we're here doing our 16th episode.
Yes.
Wow, number 16. What are we going to do for number 20?
Something special for sure. Maybe we can have like a live audience. That would be really fun.
Hybrid live audience.
Hybrid live audience.
I would just have recording of like applause and laughter.
No.
You'll say dad jokes and then you just hit the laughter and then it'll just be the
What
Yeah,
was
I think
that?
it'd be the only time where people actually laugh.
that laugh track in the background.
But we're here. We're doing this special podcast today in honor of a lot of things. But I think what's on our minds, all of us here, is May.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Yeah.
And I maybe we can do some introductions, but I'll be honest with you. Like I wasn't being silly. I don't know why we celebrate mental health in May, or what the connection is. But I'm sure maybe there's.
Which is why I'm wearing my handy dandy little green ribbon.
Which is interesting because I've always, again, I'm not being silly. I had always seen that, and I'm like, why that green? So.
Well, it's the color that's been associated with raising awareness regarding mental health issues. And once May was kind of denoted as Mental Health Awareness Month, that's been an ongoing thing every year, and it's nationwide. We celebrate, we bring awareness regarding mental health, mental illness, mental health issues, and resources. And the biggest part of it is to try and just do away with the stigma of talking about mental health and behavioral health. So it's really just to bring awareness to and get people comfortable in talking about mental health topics, kind of like what we're doing here. Yeah.
And I think something very particular about what you said, Manny, is sharing. And not only sharing, perhaps, not necessarily a diagnosis per se, but our recovery and kind of what journey we're on, what path we're on to that recovery. And that's very pertinent to all of these events that are coming up this month as part of the Take Action for mental health. I think the theme this year is share. So share for mental health. Why do we do all of these events? Why do we take importance or take consideration of our mental health?
Yeah.
I have to interrupt. Hashtag share for MH.
Age, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no. I think it's it's key because especially nowadays, I think we've done there's more public acceptance about mental health issues. And as we've seen the homeless crisis go nationwide and everyone's having to deal with this, there's more conversations around mental illness and the need for expanding mental health support that, we're seeing it locally, just in Surface Area 7 alone. We've historically done a couple of events, smaller events for May's mental health awareness, but this year alone, because there's so much going on, Service Area 7 is putting on we're hosting 9 different events throughout the month of May, and even into the first week of June. We have 9 events going on, and we have so many partners that have reached out who want to be a part of this, from local city leadership and city council members, county board offices, health services. We just had a meeting with the Department of Public Social Services, private entities, private hospitals, all sorts of, even schools have reached out and they're like, how can we partner? We want to be a part of your events. But I think it's important because we're seeing that there is definitely more conversations around mental health. And as we've talked about here before for our service area, part of what we've been trying to do is rebrand, right? What Department of Mental Health is all about. We're the Department of Mental Health, not the Department of Mental Illness. So we provide services and resources like you were talking about to promote recovery and well-being. So it's looking to see what type of supports any of us can use to really thrive, to be healthy, both physically, mentally, spiritually. So there's definitely a concerted effort in doing that and doing these type of events all over the county is huge because there's multiple events all over LA County.
No, and several things that you mentioned caught my attention, but definitely one in particular is the schools and how they're partnering with us and bringing resources not only for the kids but to the parents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a conversation that we had last month in preventing, child abuse and preventing neglect, all these different things, and it's providing the support to those that really need it and that are looking for it in ample ways, not only mental but health, dental. We've seen providers from different disciplines
Mm-hmm.
come to our fairs.
Well, I think we, especially as we've grown and we're progressing and expanding services, we're definitely taking more of an approach of looking not just as before we used to refer to patients or clients and consumers, but going beyond just looking at the individual and looking at the individual and their surrounding supporters. So the family, friends, church, faith-based organizations, schools, like you were saying, and really bringing them into the fold as well, because ultimately we all need supports and we don't function in these tiny little folders, right?
Silos,
Where it's we have to be able to work together. And I'm as somebody who's been with the department for so long and as a clinician, it's a sigh of relief that we're there now. Mm-hmm. We're definitely taking more of this approach of like this, bringing everyone together and not just treating the patient, but really bringing the support systems in.
Recognizing the importance of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, just to show everybody how consumed or focused we are on May's mental health. I think we all forgot to introduce ourselves, and we just went into this deep conversation.
Hey, you brought up a topic that's passionate for us, and we got going.
No, but
we forgot you were even here. Matilda and I were having a full conversation here.
It's totally cool because this isn't something that's been engineered to look like we are so vested in this. This is something that's, I hate to use this cliche, but near and dear to our hearts. It's something that we're laser focused on intentionally. As I'm looking at the list of events that we have coming up, I remembered I'm going to be at a school on the 18th also in support.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's so many things going on within Service Area 7, but throughout the county. I'm sure you guys have all heard the commercials. I won't disclose the AM radio station I listen to in the morning. However, they play the commercial. Literally, and every time they have a break, they play the commercial, and I'm like, oh boy, it's May. But with that said, for those of you who have forgotten, my name is not Manuel Rosas. My name is Jaime Gomez, and I am the Service Area 7 PRC Community Health Worker Supervisor. And I will pass the ball over to Señorita Matilde.
Thank you. I'm Matilde. I'm a community health worker with the Service Area 7 Peer Resource Center, and I'll pass it on to Manny.
Thank you. Manuel Rosas. I am with the Department of Mental Health, and I am the Service Area 7 Chief here, and I get to work with these wonderful individuals here.
Especially me. At least within Service Area 7, it's really cool to see that we have all these events that are happening within May or in June, or the event that just happened last Saturday, which was Dia del Niño.
Mm-hmm.
That was really awesome. I was fortunate enough to be there, and I brought my little daughter, and she loved it. I know I always talk about Sammy, but she had a blast. But not just that, to see the community, I think I shared with one of the co-chairs, which is kind of funny and it isn't, that I was in line because I was in line to get her, they were giving something away, and I was in line to get it for her. And I heard one of the ladies say to her, comadre, did you already get this? And she said, yeah, I did. And she's like, it's okay, go back and get more. But it was a cool thing in the sense that we're providing needed resources and different things to community members, but it was also kind of sad to see that there's still that need.
There's a need, yeah.
But at least we're there as a service area providing these resources to the community in these events where we're promoting mental health, like you said, trying to rebrand, removing that stigma, and at the same time, even the line for, what was it, the hot dogs, Matilde? Mm-hmm. All the little kids got hot dogs. Yeah. That's amazing, and being able to do things like that through May, June, it's amazing. it's a really good resource to the community. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, I think the approach this year, when all the chiefs got called in to meet with Cal Mesa, Lisa Wong, Dr. Lisa Wong, our director, was there, and her whole emphasis was, we want these events to really be something that's by the community for the community. So it was left at the discretion of each kind of service area and program to look at what the needs are, develop these events, but really addressing the needs of the community that we're holding these events in. So like I was saying earlier, we have 9 events going on in Service Area 7, but each of those 9 events are very different.
Yeah.
We're doing one with AICC, the American Indian Counseling Center, and they're really targeting the Native American, Alaska Native population. So they're having, there's going to be like drumming and the teepee tent with storytelling. Even the food and activities are all geared towards the Native American population. But then we're also doing events, including here at the Peer Resource Center, with Self-Help Graphics, who's a local art gallery, and where they kind of profile a lot of street artists, but they're local. These are all people that are from the community. So each event is really kind of it's tailored again just to the community.
Well, I think it's a huge deal because it helps our community members see us in a different light. So often, and I've said this before, but so often they see the badge and kind of shy away until they actually kind of get to put, how would you call it, like a face and the voice together, and they see that you're a person too. And there's no angle. You're really just there to help them, which is the experience that we've had recently with doing some of our outreach with the PRC. So we've been going to Salt Lake Park to run some of the groups from there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a group of gentlemen who gather there in the morning. They'll remain anonymous, and they're playing different games. And it's super cool. I think initially when they first seen us there with our laptops, trying to work and trying to meet and strategize about things, they were kind of put off. But I started approaching them and talking to them. There are dads.
Mm-hmm.
There are dads, there are community members, and there are people who are receptive and open. They might be older doing different things, but what a better way to kind of introduce them to what we're doing and kind of shine a light on it. But definitely in terms of the events, I think that's where those things go hand in hand. That we're community members, they're community members, they're seeing us come out, they're seeing us put all these events together for them, not for us.
And I think something that I think we're also trying to highlight within, May Mental Health Month is the physical activity and incorporating a lot of that into our routine. And just this past week, we actually had our first Walking for Wellness group at Salt Lake Park. And I was walking with a community member, and it was so amazing because as Jaime was talking, I was even thinking about that particular moment, and it felt like we were just old friends.
Mm-hmm.
We were walking and we were talking, and at the end she said, I've been looking for a resource for this. And I said, you know what, I've heard of it. They have something similar in a city nearby. And she said, great, can you send me the information? I said, of course. And it just felt so organic. I had my badge on, and I never stopped to think, maybe I should take it off, or if she feels more comfortable, but she didn't second guess me wearing my badge or what I had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, to me at least, highlights or spotlights the reason why these events are so important, or like highlighting May for Mental Health and doing all these events. As you mentioned, Manny, trying to rebrand, show our community members that we're here to support them, but also being there for them, truly being there for them, like Matilde has been, or myself in different situations. I think it shows the need. It shows the need, and that what we're doing is working, but there's still a long path to tread, right?
And then it's all in the way in which we present. There is a need, but there's also a willingness from the community to accept the support and to accept the resources.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, everything that you're saying is right on point. How we talk about this is key, because oftentimes I hear from community members all the time, and in particular, where we're at in 7, there's a large immigrant community, a large Latino community. There's still stigma around talking about mental health issues. And in talking to some community members, people sometimes are just like, well, mental health, that's not really us. We don't have any of those issues. It's just my husband, he just drinks a lot, and sometimes he gets sad and he cries a lot, and it's like, that's mental health. So it's having to explain, really, it's just, we all have mental health struggles at one point or another, and it's just about getting those supports. But even like, I love what you were saying earlier about the physical activity. There's been a lot of recent articles in talking about how over the last 3 years during the pandemic, people were so isolated and people were afraid to get out. So they basically just stayed indoors, no activity, no movement. And that not only affects your mental health, but your physical health as well. So yeah, incorporating walking, and it's not like you have to go out and join a gym and start getting on the treadmill, but just some sort of active movement goes a long way towards your physical and mental well-being.
Which can also lead to socializing.
Absolutely.
Talking to other folks, even if you're there by yourself, you can say hi to someone and you can ask, like I did, can I walk with you?
It's plan con maña. We're trying to make you all healthier.
Well, you were talking about the men's group, and we met at the park, right? It was the core members that usually participate in the men's support group. But as we were all talking, there were a couple of unhoused individuals that were at the park. And, it's like we were talking, and some people were saying that they tried to outreach to them, but that, they weren't really talking or engaging. Jaime and I were just kind of chatting it up, and all of a sudden an individual comes up and introduces himself and starts talking. And long story short, by the time we were done talking, it was like a 15-20 minute conversation. He had told us a significant portion of his life story just by talking. And eventually, literally got to the point where he got his cell phone, handed it over to Jaime and said, can you plug in those groups you were talking about? I'd love to be able to join in from my phone. To have somebody who was kind of deemed as, oh, well, they're not really interested in mental health, come to us and approach us and then get to the point of like, yeah, I want to participate in those groups. That's huge. That's huge.
I think so too. It's funny with all these things going on and everything we do, I forget those little moments, right? That day I left feeling, a good, how would I say, satisfied, like we did something good. Not only did we bring that group there, but to have community members, real community members who had no idea that this was going to happen and now kind of want to join us.
That's
Even in
key,
that conversation, we were talking to this individual just like we're talking now, and it was really cool. It was very very generic, but I think it goes a long way to show what we're doing, or it lends to show what we're trying to do here, and kind of emphasizing, again, going back to May and why May is so important for us, and trying to rebrand, putting these events together to reach more community members, help reduce that stigma that still is out there. Again, I won't even go into that, but
but it's working at people's pace. Really, it's not an interview. It's not an intake of like, we're going to ask you these questions and you have to answer them or else we can't help you. It's really working at everyone's pace, and that group in itself, I think, was key, because we had some folks that were talkative like they normally are and we were engaging. We had some folks that were literally got their stuff and walked half a mile away in the park.
I think it's awesome. And not to brag about our group, but I think it's really good. It started very tiny, but it's doing very well, and I think that the way that it's going in a very generic fashion, I think it's awesome. We kind of let it flow, and I remember initially we had those discussions about actually having a curriculum versus not. And I think we opted that for that group just to kind of let it be. And it's helped for it to flow naturally.
Let the group members take ownership of it, and
empowering our community.
Exactly.
Correct.
But it was pretty amazing, and like specifically for you, I know, like you were saying, you felt like, when you left that group, like but it really, take a step back and look at that. You by organizing the event at that location, you brought a group of individuals together to socialize, to connect, reconnect. Individuals who were literally
isolated.
Had not seen a person. You heard how many guys there were like, hadn't seen an actual person in years, but then also were able to connect with somebody who was an individual who's been living in that park, who was probably been living in the shadows, not
Mhm.
seen by many people, but felt comfortable enough to get connected and want to, even though at this point he's only willing to connect via phone, that's a step. I mean, you want to talk about just progress. And that was just one group session.
That you know, it's funny. Again, not to go back, but this is in itself what we're doing with all these events. Think about how many community members within our service area or countywide have been isolated, experiencing these things. And with these events, we're allowing them, we're asking them to come out and join us. And these fun activities, I mean, I've read some of the stuff that some of the sites are gonna do. You know, you're talking about having music,
Drum
healthy
circles.
activities, drum circles, art. So it's kind of removing the stigma by showing that, hey, we're not gonna be there providing clinical groups, but we're gonna be there to support you in any way we can. And lend to things and maybe show you something different, you know, but it's awesome.
And if I could just go back really quickly to the event that you guys were talking about for
No
the
more
mentor.
going back.
Okay.
No more going back.
Okay, well then.
We don't look back, we move forward.
Something that caught my attention is all of the work that our service area is doing for our men and for their mental health.
Yeah.
Historically, rather socially, men have been put in a position in which they're not really able to express their emotions or are discouraged to do so to address their mental health concerns. And this is a great platform for men.
Yeah. Yeah, we just, at the kickoff event for the Take Action LA events for the month of May, we screened a couple of the short films that were done by local students. And one of them, I believe it was done by students from Highland Park High School. They did a short film called Macho. And it's basically, the gist of it is a student who's having struggles, doesn't feel well, but his dad pushes him to go to school anyway. And his dad calls him and is checking in on him. Did you make it to school? And it's in Spanish. And the kid's just like, I don't feel well, Dad. I don't really want to be at school today. And the dad essentially tells him, be a macho, like man up and go to school. That's your job, to go to school.
Yeah.
And while at school, he's basically laying on his table, he's depressed, he's sad, and the school counselor reaches out to him and is kind of like, just kind of want to check in on you.
Yeah.
But it's still taboo in a lot of our community, you know, to talk about this, and there's still a mentality there that, well, you know, just especially like, you know, in the Latino community, when it comes down to men, it's, no, we don't cry. There's shame in talking about your emotions. And no, just keep going. Forget it. Kind of like swallow it, stuff it somewhere deep, and then just keep going forward.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually don't cry. I have no tear ducts.
I had mine surgically removed too.
As a
As
child, I went through the same surgery. As a Latino child, I think you experienced that very young.
My kids are watching this and they're all like, "That's not true, Daddy. You cry all the time."
But I do. Again, you know, just in retro, I am amazed at all the stuff that we're doing. Again, just coming from the outside world in terms of like joining the department late. I'm glad to see this movement. I think, you know, we talk about stigma and, you know, it's still there, but there's been so much good work done. And I feel like these events really are pushing us in the right direction that we want to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is the appropriate time to share a story. And I'm just reflecting on this because it's been a year since I started working for the county and for the department. But I remember when I first started, and I was so stressed because I had to do a presentation for, I think it was mindfulness. And I was very stressed, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do a good job. But it never really dawned on me the importance of this month for us. And now that, you know, fast forward a year, I see this not so much as a stressful situation, but as like a culmination of what I've learned in the last year and how I'm able to provide, give back to the community. And I think, again, we're all saying this, but it gives back to the community. It gives an additional support.
Yeah, and it's again, it's like what you were both saying with these events. It's bringing together dental, physical, support services, mental health, obviously, but also like there's we're feeding the community. We're also bringing, like at Saturday's event, there was a giveaway of like fresh fruit and vegetables for the community members. You know, we brought in even local private beautician schools to give free haircuts to
Which
the
was a
community.
hit. You should have seen the line. They were busy till the end, till the end of the day, and even again, it dawned on me, the toys for the little ones. So often we forget that some people don't have access to some of those things that we take for granted.
Absolutely.
The kids lit up with their little toys, or being able to sing and dance. I think Matile, they had like I don't know what you call them because I'm old, but they had like a guy who was like hyping up the crowd, and he had them all dancing on the stage, and the kids were all doing an activity together. They enjoyed that so much. Initially they're shy, they don't want to get out there, but they have a blast, and it's healthy for them. And again, it's one of those things that inadvertently they don't realize it's good for them. They're socializing, they're meeting other kids, they're in their community, they're having fun activities, which is what they need, to help them grow. But giving back, absolutely.
Yeah, there's. I mean, each one of our community members, we all have our stories, and part of it is trying to get just whatever we can back out to the community, and really support the person as a whole. And to me, like the toys you're talking about, that it literally flashed back to like my childhood. Is like, I remember as a kid, I grew up in Boyle Heights, and there were tough times where, especially around
Boyle
Christmas.
Heights. No, I'm just kidding.
So, and especially around Christmas, there were times where, and my parents would have the conversations, well, this year was tough, so we'd always go to, my brother and I would go to the Variety Boys and Girls Club there in Boyle Heights, and, shout out to Judy at the Variety Boys and Girls Club. She was there, and she'd take donations, and there were some years where they ran out of toys, and some of us would get these like stockings, those knitting stockings with the orange, the walnut, and the peanuts in there. I remember one year I was one of the lucky ones. I got a toy, and the toy that I got, kid you not, was like an anatomy model for a person. So half of it was like you could see the muscular structure, half of it you would see the circulatory structure. But that was my toy.
But that's actually cool.
Yeah. But to me, as a little kid, right, I'm all like, oh, that's like a monster right there. You could see him, right? But there's a lot of our community members that have similar stories, or stories that are much more difficult and tragic, and...
Dude, for me and my siblings, you just gave me a flashback. It was Red Shield. I don't know if you remember Red Shield?
No.
Okay, so that was, I grew up initially within the Pico Union area, which is, kind of downtown LA, I think a little bit more west. And there was a Red Shield, which was kind of the same, like a Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
I was really tiny because, I was the baby, but I remember all that stuff that you're saying. And again, like with the gifts, I think now that I have a kid too, it dawns on me how important it is for them to have those, right? Like we take it for granted, but definitely I think it's important what we're doing. And it just speaks to the wealth of, like Matilda said, that we're giving back, to how much we're giving back to the community, and really with a lot of passion. Not because it's a job, or not because we have to, but because we want to. Because it helps us feel better that they're feeling better, and that we're able to support them in a moment of need. Because although, we're stepping out of this pandemic, there's still a lot of stress and anxiety behind it. There's still a lot of people concerned, which is with due cause, But I'm just really proud to be part of like this unit that's doing this in the community. Funny story. Yesterday I was having a conversation with my neighbor, and she's really cool. And she was like, "Are you involved?" And because I've been seeing all these commercials. Oh my God, I'm so done with it. But I was explaining to her like the good that comes out of it, and she's like, I never thought about it that way. And I'm like, yeah, it's different, but it's good that we're doing this, and that we're supporting. Helping either as volunteers or participating with our local clinics in Service Area 7. I think I've said this before too, like in all these different conversations. I know it's stressful planning and leading up to all this stuff, but it'll be over in no time, and then we'll be able to look back and laugh. Ha 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 ha! Look at the great work we did, right? But it definitely is. I think it's good.
Yeah.
And I'm actually very excited about the campaign that Take Action for Mental Health is doing. So I live in Service Area 3. Historically, it could also be that I never really paid attention to any of the billboards, but I was so excited that I saw a billboard for Take Action in my service area. And I pointed to that and I said, hey, I'm working on that too.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to see it in the community that historically hasn't had much of that publicity for mental health.
I think it's awesome. I think, at least for me, once you realize it, again, once you realize how much we do, it goes a long way. It helps me.
Yeah.
It helps me feel better. Like I mentioned earlier, just giving back makes you feel good. You know, we all grew up in not the best situations, and to be able to help our community members who might be going through similar things, it's awesome. I think it just helps me feel good about myself, and we're also helping. But so today, again, for those of you who remember, today is May the 5th, which is Cinco de Mayo for those of you who celebrate Cinco de Mayo. But we have events coming up, and so I have a list in front of me, and one of those that is coming up is for May 13th, which is for our Roybal Family Mental Health Clinic. And I think the name of their event is Fiesta Latina en Honor a la Salud. And that's going to be at their clinic, right, Manny?
No, that's going to be at Belvedere Park.
Belvedere Park.
Yeah, we were able to get space there at Belvedere Park, so we're going to put on a nice event there for families and just really open it up to the community so that people can come in. We got some food vendors, some kids activities, all sorts of different stuff there.
Taco Bell?
Not Taco Bell, but we do have tacos that will be there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to remember. I think I always talk about it, but back in the day, Service Area 3 had an event. It was also a May's mental health event, and it was huge. They had like a barbecue. They went all out. So I'm anticipating these events are going to be similar, if not probably better. And I think what's awesome for me is that it's for our community members. Every community is different, and it has different pockets of different people, but I think our community members here still are in very high need. You know, they might not be as vocal about it because traditionally our community members, and I'm just speaking from experience, I kind of tend to just keep to myself, not want to make waves, and I think a lot of them are that way too. You know, so for us to be there and meeting them where they're at in their community goes a long way.
Yeah, and these community events, they're all free. They're open to the public. They're at different locations. You mentioned the one May 13th. We have May 17th also coming up right down the street at San Antonio Family Center.
Wait a minute. I just bought my ticket. I paid $20.
Oh, you got the VIP.
I got the pack.
So you found my website.
I got a little green
a little wristband.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, we have a lot of events. Also, the May 17th event at San Antonio here in Huntington Park. They're doing food vendors. They're going to be doing activities. That event is really targeting children and families because it's a children's clinic. So it's open to the public, but a lot of activities are going to be focused around children, and hopefully we'll get them on time. We looked at ordering like children's coloring books.
That's awesome.
So that we can give them away to the community as well. So yeah, there's several activities that are coming down the path.
And that's really cool. I'm sure that by the time this video goes up or this podcast goes up, some of these events will have passed and some of them will still be coming up. But I encourage you all to visit the Service Area 7 website or the takeactionla.com community events website. And there you can find all of these community events posted. So that Take Action website actually has events that are countywide. But if you come onto our DMH Service Area 7 website, we actually have specific events posted for our service area.
The website is takeactionlac.com.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Matilda.
Correct.
See, you're welcome I did this.
Yes. But I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that all of these events are taking place. I do want to take a moment though to give a special shout out to the May 19th.
I was gonna
event.
say, you can't miss the 19th
I was gonna ask for a drum roll.
So we, and by we I mean Matilde, has been working really hard.
The entire team of one.
And really putting this together. No, the entire team has been really doing a really good job at putting all of this together. As Manny said, we've been scrambling to get vendors, to bring resources there, community vendors, providers. We're gonna have a live band.
Nice.
We're gonna have a DJ. That's the crowd sign, by the way. You guys can't hear it.
And if I may add, we're gonna have some really amazing giveaways as well. We're gonna have some stress stars, some canvas toads. So I mean, I think it's those little things that kind of remind folks, even after the event,
Mhm.
Yeah.
of where they can look for more support.
We're also gonna have food. I know that goes a long way. I mean, for me, yo siempre tengo hambre. I'm always hungry. But we're gonna have food. We're gonna have a lot of fun stuff going on. But I think more importantly too, it's in Salt Lake Park right here, in
Yes.
Huntington Park, right?
Yes, and it's actually in collaboration and partnership with the city of Huntington Park,
Mm-hmm.
their Parks and Recreation department. They have been very generous in their assistance with planning the event.
That's awesome.
And for me at least, you know, if anybody was to ask why we chose that location, I think it's the need. Quite honestly, we visited different parks and we've been to different places, and not to say other communities don't have a need, but when I went there, not to go into this, but I told Matilde that my aunt lives in that community, and my dad used to frequent that park, and he was one of those men sitting on that table. So when I went there, I was like, oh my God, flashbacks. Like, Dad, why are you here? But the point is that we're doing the event there. I think it's gonna be awesome. I know it's gonna be awesome. We have a lot of cool stuff planned out. We have a lot of good vendors jumping on our tabling list, which I think is gonna be cool. Matilda's gonna MC. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully, Manny will be able to be
Yes.
there.
I'm doing my best to be at all of our events.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard, but we do invite you all to come on out. Again, if this video airs before, come on out, and if it airs after, we'll do our best to share some footage of what the events were like.
And something very special about this event is that it's the first major event that's being held by our Service Area 7 PRC.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
did a little introduction.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, I need a shirt that says a little good.
I need polos.
But yeah, I'm excited. I think it's fun. At the end of the day, I think we're doing great work.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, I think it's awesome. It's an opportunity to like I said, you know, after doing all these events and planning, some things will work, some things will not. Nothing is perfect, but at least we'll learn. And next year it'll be bigger and better, and the following year will be even bigger and better. But there's more events. Also, I'm not sure, Matilde, May 20th?
May 20th, yeah, we have our Spring Into Wellness Resource Fair from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Mhm.
And one of the great things as I was looking at this list is that they're all in different locations
Mhm.
through our service area, which gives an opportunity for everyone
Mhm.
to really participate.
You can go to all of them, or you can get to one of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that intentionally to try and make sure that we covered our entire region, so that everyone had access to some sort of event.
Which
Yeah.
it's again, quick segue, but I never realized how huge Service Area 7 was until I started driving like this.
All the locations, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I get home and I'm like,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
huge, but again, it's great work that we're doing. I'm glad that we're all coming together. You know, as the different clinics, different departments, but also as a service area.
Yeah.
I see a lot of camaraderie between the different service areas, the managers, everybody just kind of really working hand in hand to make this a success, not for us, but for our community members.
Mhm. Yeah, the May 20th event, I believe it's in Downey, that's at one of our faith-based agencies, the Church of Latter-day Saints. I think we partnered with them, in the city of Downey. Then we have the May 24th event, which is our American Indian Counseling Center. They're doing a pretty large event. That one's also at Belvedere Park. so community members can go to that one. And then the May 25th one, that's through our Rio Hondo Mental Health Center, and that's a May's Mental Health Awareness event, and that'll be in the city of Cerritos at the clinic, at a local park, which I'm blanking on which park it is right now, but it's on the website. We have the location on there. Then June 3rd, we're doing a pretty large event as well.
June 3rd.
June 3rd
Third.
is it's the first of its kind. We're doing the Men's Health Awareness Month. It's a family fun and barbecue event,
Oh.
and we're doing that one in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce of Southgate. It'll be at Southgate Park. If you've ever been there, we did an event there a couple years ago for Dia de los Muertos. It's a large park, it's a large venue, and we're trying to make it just like a day of family fun. So we're bringing resources. There's going to be a component of resource fairs. There's going to be carnival type games for the families to play. We're working on getting maybe a local car club to bring in some classic cars for people to check out. We're doing barbecue. So yeah, we're really trying to just give an opportunity for folks to get together and, just take care of themselves, really.
And if I can just sneak in another plug for the PRC, our June 2nd event, which we
that's
are
right.
hosting here
Mhm.
in our
It's our grand opening,
grand
really.
opening,
Yeah.
really, yeah.
Drum roll. I'm gonna be doing a drum solo for all of you who want. I'm just kidding. I will not be doing that. We're gonna be very busy that day, hosting an awesome event here. We anticipate having also music. We're gonna have food vendors. I think we're also gonna have activities for the youth. I want to say we're gonna have face painting, and we might have some sort of live artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Look forward to that. But definitely, I think more importantly that we're but we're doing this grand opening for our community members so that they can come in, check out our space, and see what we're able to do here for them, which goes a long way. But for sure, things.
Yeah, and part and parcel of destigmatizing our building.
Yeah.
We're on the second floor of an apartment complex, almost a mixed-use
Mhm.
complex. And I always, whenever I tell people where our office is, they're like, "Oh, so it's right there." I always thought it was just apartments. I know there's an actual office there. Feel free to walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the branding, right? It's the
Yeah.
branding. But that was also partly done so that, there's also people can access the services and not have a big sign that says you're coming into a
Exactly.
mental health facility.
Exactly, and I think that's part of the comfort. But if you see that logo from the
Yeah.
outside,
Yeah.
you'll at least the community member hopefully will be less
Yeah, stigmatizing. Yeah.
stigmatizing. Exactly.
Yeah, and one of the key things is like we're doing all these events, and like we were joking, you're the planning party of one for the PRC event, but throughout our service area, we have so many staff that have been giving their time, are giving their time, and will be giving their time at these events to host the resource tables, to host these events, to help with even distributing food and parking and all that stuff. We have one of the amazing things is these are fun events, and I'm happy that we're doing this for the community, but just seeing also all of our staff, just how committed they are. And for me, that's inspiring, but it's also, I would hope that our community members and our staff can partake in some of these fun events,
Right.
because we talk about the community, but we sometimes forget that we are also part of that community.
Yeah.
And our staff, your present company included, have been there throughout this pandemic, throughout all of these difficult times where we've had, social protesting going on, and all of these difficult times over the last few years that have really been taxing on all of us. But you all kind of always give yourselves to the job, and it's time now that everything's opening back up, that we have to take that moment to also take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And to me, it's really critical that we kind of remember that part of mental health awareness also applies to us as the mental health staff.
Yeah.
That we also need to be able to take care of ourselves. We need to practice some self-care. We need to take care of our own individual needs as well, or else we're not going to be able to take care of our community members. So these events are really for everyone, and I'm looking forward. I'm doing my best to get these events in my calendar and at least make a stop by and kind of thank everyone there for being there. But yeah, there should be a lot of fun, but education as well. We're going to have some presentations also on various topics, especially focusing more so on wellness and well-being. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I think it's gonna be really fun. I'm also gonna try to be at a lot of these for different reasons. So you might see myself or Matila there,
Yeah.
running around with cameras and stuff, trying to get some footage. But with that said, I did want to do a shameless plug. No, I wanted to acknowledge that in May it's also Mother's Day. So for all the moms out there, Matilde, but all the other mothers out there,
Absolutely.
at least Dia de las Madres, I hope you're watching and you enjoy this. We really do care, and we're really.
We wouldn't be here without our moms.
That's true.
You know?
Well,
Yeah.
well, I'm just kidding. Absolutely, Mom. Fue una broma. It was a joke. It was a joke. You know who I'm talking to. But definitely, Mother's Day is huge in our community. And I can recall a lot of Mother's Days when families still got together and we had these big celebrations for our moms, my Diaz, my sister, all our siblings or just family, extended family or neighbors who are mothers. It goes a long way. So again, happy Mother's Day to all of you all.
Yeah, especially for a lot of us, moms are the ones that carry our families on their backs, on their shoulders,
Yeah.
and carry us forward. You know, so yeah, we have to be grateful, we have to be respectful, but especially acknowledge our moms. You know, across our system, including
Thank you.
our mom, our guest mom here, our guest mom. Yeah.
So now the show turns to Matilde. Matilde, how does it feel? How do you speak on behalf of all mothers?
It feels weird, honestly, like just a side note, because when someone says Happy Mother's Day to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a mom. That's right, I forget. Like all these just like my little friends sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one of the biggest things that so far we have done in the department is definitely recognizing and having our perinatal work group and how that's highlighted the importance of maternal perinatal mental health in our community. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're a part of that work group, and it's bringing that knowledge and education so that everyone's aware of that. And again, much like we were talking about May's mental health, there's still some stigma about talking about those topics, and especially I know I've learned amongst moms that acknowledging issues like postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis, it's difficult. It's still kind of taboo because some moms feel that it's like, well, what does that say about me as a mom, and feeling very isolated. So being able to have those type of work groups, I think it's key because it's even educational for us.
And conversations with our communities, and I do understand that at least for our May 19th event, we are going to have organizations that do provide resources specifically for mothers and for families.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. Is there any other acknowledgements we want to do today? Because I know there's a lot going on in May.
Yeah. Well, the only other big one would be Memorial, but I don't know if that one should be like a standalone, like the PSA standalone, or wanted to proceed.
I mean, I think at a minimum we should for all of our community members who have served. I mean, that's we appreciate your service, but we also have to take a moment to remember those who have served in the armed forces who have passed, that we've lost. And for me, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, those are very key days. My father-in-law is a veteran he served in the Army during the Vietnam War, and it's just his dedication and his honor in serving our country has always been something of an inspiration for me. So I definitely think that, we're lucky that we still have him around, but I know that there's several veterans, several who have served who we've lost over the years, and we definitely need to acknowledge those soldiers that we've lost.
I think so.
Anything else, folks?
Anything else, señorita, señorito?
And I think it would be great to highlight, maybe within the link, the contest that Take Action for Mental Health has.
Absolutely.
I think you mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but it's hashtag share the number 4 MH. So more information on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think Matila just said it. They're having a contest encouraging Californians across the state to share how they support their mental well-being with their friends and loved ones, and more social media by using the hashtag. Hashtag is the little pound sign for those of you who are not
The tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, the tic-tac-toe. And share, the word share, the number 4, and MH. If you're one of the 50 Californians who post the share hashtag MH on social media, you will get a Mental Health Matters Month gift bag mailed to you with some swag. Again, swag is an inside word that means that you're gonna get goodies, because I didn't know that word before. Sometimes you get like squishy stress balls, pins, you can get all kind of stuff, t-shirts. But yeah, definitely, and I'll put it on the screen. I'm gonna try to do this. It'll be under my finger. It'll say hashtag share the number 4 and mental health.
MH.
MH. That's right.
And we can't forget also May is AAPI Heritage Month as well. And I know that's key for us because we do have a large and growing AAPI population, and significantly important for us in the department because our director, she's the first AAPI director of the Department of Mental Health. So that's critical that,
Absolutely.
we acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
So happy AAPI month as well.
Yeah. And I guess for us today, that's all. Thank you all for joining. We really want to encourage you to visit our website. We have a lot of information there. Visit our Facebook. There's actually a Facebook account for those dinosaurs. Again, don't forget about our events. We encourage you to go out there. If by the time you watch this video, they've already passed, maybe next time. But if not, go out to the events. Look on our website. Everything should be posted on there. And anything else, ladies and gentlemen?
Don't forget we have our SALT meeting, our SALT 7 meeting coming up May 12th, right? At 10 a.m. I think. And we're hoping to do a hybrid. Some of us will be together in person with hopefully our co-chairs, and folks will be able to still join us online and participate. So
Go Service Area 7 Technology Department. But thank you all for joining us. We're really grateful again for another episode, our 16th episode of Coffee with a Side of Healing. I still remember when I had difficulty saying that. I would always say something different every time. But thank you all again for joining us. We really appreciate the continued views because I've been paying attention to that on YouTube. You're doing good. So I really appreciate it. Thank you all. And gracias. Happy Mother's Day.
Bendiciones Madres. Absolutely.
So to all the mothers out there, and happy Memorial Day as well.
Happy Memorial Day.
Absolutely.
Gracias.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.